There were some great performances coming out of Week 14. And, Peter, we're going to be talking about that a lot over the course of the next hour. We're going to have a draft of the best individual performances of the week. But I want to start with a guy who I think really has cemented his grip on the MVP race in the NFL, especially because the other contenders have fallen off. And, Patrick Mahomes keeps finding new levels to take his game to.
Well, Mike, I totally agree. I mean, probably 2 weeks ago, I thought that obviously I do something in my column every week where I say, in essence, if the season ended today, here's how I see the MVP race. And I don't know, for 6 weeks or so, I had Breeze up there as number one. And I thought that if things continued as they were, that he'd probably win it. But now I look at it, and the more football I watch this year, the body of work MVP this year, and again, there's 3 weeks left, so you don't know. But I do think that Patrick Mahomes, especially in the wake of watching some of the plays that he makes over and over again, and the different platforms that he throws the ball from, and the fact that he does so much of this on the run, and you're looking at that no-look pass to Robinson on Sunday. It's just... And this play right here is one of the great plays I've ever seen a quarterback make. I don't know how you define that, especially throwing to a guy with two men on him, and not only throwing to with two men on him, but I'm just telling you, Mike, right now, I talked to Tyreek Hill after this game. He's got some issues with his foot, and I question. I mean, imagine no Watkins, no Hunt, and now what happens if Tyreek Hill all of a sudden is a question mark going down the stretch? And we can talk about a lot of things with the Chiefs right now. That's the one thing that would worry me. But no question in my mind today, right now, Patrick Mahomes is the MVP of the National Football League.
And what's amazing about him, and I know you've spoken to his father, the former baseball player Pat Mahomes, about this, and I talked to Patrick after the game on Sunday, that baseball experience and basketball experience that Patrick Mahomes had growing up. And especially in baseball, when you're playing shortstop, you never have a good base. You're throwing from every arm angle. Your legs aren't positioned. You're falling, you're leaning, and you learn to throw that way, and that's how we see him throw. And he can make those throws without all of the mechanics we hear quarterback gurus obsess over, that you got to have your base right and your footwork and you've got to get your core and all that. No, he just wings it, and he can. He's got the arm strength to do it, and he's got the awareness that he knows what he can get away with. That's what impresses me about him more than anything else. He knows exactly where his boundaries are, and he always stays within them. He never does like that Russell Wilson moment last night where you're like, what in the hell was that? You're never going to see that from Patrick Mahomes because he always knows what he's capable of doing, and he's capable of doing a lot, and he always stays within those boundaries.
One of the interesting things, meeting up with his dad, and I've now had 2 conversations with him, Pat Mahomes, had the long major league career as a pitcher. One of the things he said to me, and he was pretty strident about it, he said that this is one of the reasons why I don't think kids should specialize in sports at a very early age. I think they ought to play multiple sports, and my son is a great example of why. His play at the shortstop position, and I compared it in my column this week to Omar Vizquel. If you are watching a good, deft, confident shortstop, you know that a lot of times if you've got a guy coming in, charging at you, and you've got to turn the double play, you don't have the ability to get your body set and to make the normal throw that you would want to make, the normal overhand throw. You got to come from the side. You got to go Kent Tekulve submarining sometimes. You've got to do all these different arm angles. That's what he's very good at. And the one other thing, I asked Mahomes this question a couple of weeks ago. I said, where does the confidence come from? Because you always appear that even when you're surrounded by people, you might get tackled. You've got the confidence in yourself. I can make something happen. And he gave me a very interesting answer. He said, I was in a lot of major league clubhouses when I was young, when I was 5, 6, 7 years old. Every one of those guys in the clubhouse, if they struck out last night, I'm so much better than that pitcher. Or if the pitcher gives up a home run, no big deal. I'm better than that guy. That'll never happen again. He goes, I just learned at an early age, you better have confidence when you go out there and you have to face whatever sport it is, you're facing somebody really good. You have to think that you're better than they are. And that, I think, we've seen time and time again as Mahomes goes through this great first year as a starting quarterback.
And it's amazing that the guy had two memorable all-time throws on Sunday. He had the no-look pass. He had the throw to Tyreek Hill on 4th and 9 across the body, 40 yards down the field. And you mentioned the Kent TeColvey release. Right after the no-look pass play, he had one of those sidearm throws. That just gets forgotten. I mean, that would have been the play we're talking about. But there were two other ones that have supplanted it. But it was Spencer Ware going down the left sideline, and he fired it out sidearm, hit him in stride. He ran 30 more yards with it, and that's option
And that
C.
was right, Mike. That was right after the no-look pass. They were consecutive plays.
Right.
And
right.
that is what was so cool. But there's one other play. I don't think we're going to have video of it. But do you remember the play on Sunday where he basically looks around, and what I loved about this Sunday for Patrick Mahomes is that, as Andy Reid said afterwards, he faced so many things he's never seen before, and we didn't even see on tape this week. And the 11 guys across the line, nobody in coverage on that defense. Wink Martindale threw some incredible changeups. The Baltimore defensive coordinator threw great changeups at him. But remember the play where he just looked around, he had the ball, and he just sort of folds himself. He almost Brett Favre's into Strahan. He just sort of folds himself up and falls on the ground. Like, okay, this play's over, but I'm going to live to fight another day. I was so impressed with that because he wasn't just saying to everybody, okay, look, I'm going to fight, I'm going to do this. He would have had a 6 or 8 yard loss in that because he had no idea what he was seeing. So I'm going to fall down, 1 yard loss, and then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to beat you on the next play. That is what's impressive. He has the presence of mind to know that this war is not about just one play. It's about 68 plays in a game. And if I have to give up one to make 4 more plays, that's what I'm going to do.
All right, I want to read something for you here as soon as I find it, Peter, because number one, it springboards me to the next topic, and also it is a rare instance where a blind squirrel chews on an acorn. This is my pick for Ravens Chiefs, a sneaky great December game for which the home team won't want a January rematch. Chiefs 27, Ravens 24. So that's the first time in a long time.
That's ridiculous.
That's the first time in a long time that I got lucky and got the score right. But will the Chiefs really want a January rematch with this Ravens team? Because they come out of this game in a loss feeling very good about themselves, don't they?
There ain't going to be no rematch. But, Mike, I texted somebody with the Ravens after that game, and I just said, I know this must really hurt, but I'm telling you, you're going to come to a point where you're going to think this was a great day for our team. And I know that sounds ridiculous when you lose. Great might be overstating it. Sunday, in my opinion, was a very good day for the Baltimore Ravens. Because I'm just telling you, look, it's unlikely they're going to win the division anyway, but they should make the playoffs, okay? And if they make the playoffs, they're going to be one of those teams. Remember, I think it was 2010, whatever year it was, when the Ravens went into Foxborough and beat Goliath. And this is going to be one of those years. I think the Ravens are going to get into the playoffs. They'll be a wild card team. And if they get in the playoffs, they're going to go somewhere in January and beat some team up. I really think they've got a chance to not just play well in January, but to win 1 or 2 on the road in January.
Hey, and Peter, look, the Steelers have the Patriots and the Saints the next 2 weeks. If they lose those 2 games, regardless of what happens week 17 when they play the Bengals, and if the Ravens win 2 of their final 3, the Ravens win that division. That's how tight it is right now. They're only a half game behind. I think right now between those 2 teams, I'd have to say I think the Ravens are going to find a way to leapfrog the Steelers based upon what we've seen out of Pittsburgh the last 3 weeks.
And I mean, I'll tell you this. It will have been a very, very long time before there has been a better game in a wild card weekend than Chargers at Ravens. If that happens, that's an AFC championship game type of game. And to be played in the wild card round 5 at 4. Wow. That would be a great football game. But I just have so much regard right now for the Ravens and what they can do, and the fact that almost like Cleveland's offense now, what the Baltimore Ravens are doing now on offense with the running game in today's football, I'm not going to say it's astounding, but it's really, really interesting. And it's not something, in my opinion, you want to do long term with Lamar Jackson because you don't want your quarterback to get hit that much. But just like when Washington had RG3 as a rookie, they figured out a way to get through the season with basically an option quarterback. Kyle Shanahan invented an offense for them to get to the playoffs. And I think that is what Marty Mornhinweg is trying to do now in Baltimore. And how interesting, how coincidental, how weird is it that RG3 is his backup quarterback right now?
And one last point before we take a break. You mentioned the Chargers, and I want to take it back to Patrick Mahomes and his MVP candidacy. We've seen Drew Brees in prime time within the past couple of weeks. He had a chance against the Cowboys, and that's when he started to lose his grip on what was looking presumed. We saw the Rams on Sunday night, and their candidates, whether it's Todd Gurley, Jared Goff, Aaron Donald, they didn't step up the way we saw Mahomes play. But that was a 1 o'clock Eastern game against the Ravens. Mahomes gets a primetime shot on Thursday night against the Chargers. And to the extent that he has it in his grasp, he could take it.